ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be lifted.
Without objection.
Mr. President, the Russian assault on Ukraine continues unabated. Each morning seems to bring a fresh horror. In the last few days alone, we've seen the Russians bomb an art school where as many as 400 civilians had taken cover. And we've seen the bombing of a theater where an estimated 1,300 women and children and the elderly were sheltering. Not a military target, a theater providing shelter to civilians, to children. A theater that was clearly labeled with the word children. That's right. On the pavement outside, in large white letters visible in satellite images, was the word children, written in Russian. So it's pretty impossible that the Russians didn't know what or who they were bombing. But they bombed anyway. And this is just one example of the depravity of the Russian siege of Mariupol, which has largely destroyed this port city. Residents, and important as words are, they fail when it comes to describing the horrors that Ukrainians are experiencing. The inferno that are so many of them are now existing in on a daily basis. As we go about our lives in peace and security, most of us have no notion of what it means to live where air raid sirens have become commonplace. Where bombed out buildings line the streets where you used to walk. Where crossing a road or leaving a building at the wrong moment can mean your death. The pictures convey some of the horror. The post-apocalyptic streetscapes. The buildings gray with ash. The gaping holes in apartment blocks and businesses. Images akin to the bombed-out cities seen in old World War II photographs. The total destruction of once vibrant places. Mariupol is perhaps the foremost example of the devastation that Russia has wrought. The last EU diplomat to leave that city summed up the situation in stark words on Sunday, and I quote, "What I saw, I hope no one will ever see. Mariupol will become part of a list of cities that were completely destroyed by war," end quote. What I saw, I hope no one will ever see. Mariupol will become part of a list of cities that were completely destroyed by war. Mr. President, we don't have to look far for the source of these horrors. They can be attributed to one man, to Vladimir Putin. To achieve his vision of a Russian empire, he has laid waste to the country of Ukraine. Thousands of lives sacrificed on both sides because he wants Ukraine, because he thinks Ukraine should be part of Russia. It doesn't matter that the people of Ukraine have made it unmistakably clear that they are their only willing to destroy Ukraine to get it. All this evil, all this destruction, so many human lives wasted, all because of one man's fixation on a Russian empire. More than 3.3 million refugees have fled Ukraine, including at least 1.5 million children. And around 6.5 million Ukrainians are internally displaced. That amounts to roughly 1/4 of Ukraine's population forced from their homes. And the numbers continue to grow. Mr. President, last week, President Zelensky addressed Congress in powerful words. He outlined the situation in Ukraine and asked for additional help in Ukrainians' battle for their country. I'm proud that the United States has provided Ukraine with substantial military assistance and has put in place strong sanctions against Russia, including sanctioning the lifeblood of the Russian economy, which is the Russian energy sector. But, Mr. President, we have to do more. However much current sanctions have hit the Russian economy, Putin is still prosecuting his war of aggression in Ukraine. And so we have to do more. We have to send the message unequivocally that Russia will be an outcast from the free world until it withdraws from Ukraine. There are additional sanctions the United States can put in place. And we need to immediately get to work unleashing American energy production so that we can provide energy to our allies in Europe and lessen their dependence on energy from Russia. Every dollar that goes to purchase Russian energy is a dollar that Russia can use to finance its war of aggression. The United States has correctly banned Russian oil and gas imports. Now we need to help our allies in Europe permanently divest themselves of their reliance on Russian energy. Committed to countries that don't launch unprovoked wars on their neighbors. We also need to continue our shipments of arms to Ukraine. And the President needs to find a way to further enhance Ukrainian air defenses, whether that involves sending the S-300 air defense systems that President Zelensky asked for, or armed drones, or facilitating the transfer of MiG aircraft from NATO countries to the Ukrainian Air Force, or all of the above. Russia is currently unleashing devastation from the skies of Ukrainian cities, and we need to find a way of helping Ukrainians to reduce or eliminate that threat. Finally, we need to make sure that while we're sanctioning Russia on the one hand, we're not enriching it on the other with things like an Iran deal that could see Russia benefit to the tune of $10 billion. Mr. President, the people of Ukraine are not waiting for anyone to come and save them. They are fighting with everything they have to save their country. But they're asking for our help. They need arms and resources and humanitarian assistance to sustain their fight against Russian forces that are increasingly showing less and less restraint. And they are relying on us, on our shared belief in freedom and self-determination, on our shared commitment to human liberty. The Ukrainian people know what they want to be, and that's a free people in a free country. And they have the will to stay in this fight. They just need our help. Mr. President, let's not let them down. I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Ball.